Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Well, today you saw the title. We're talking about prepping, homesteading, using good common sense, and fear porn. Now, what is fear porn? I know you've got that in your little head. What the heck is fear porn? Fear porn is what they show you on things like doomsday preppers. What some prepping sites, they want you to be afraid that this is going to happen, or that's going to happen, or it's imminent, the government's coming to get you, all that stuff, okay? Prepping is actually a common sense, opportunistic thing. Homesteaders by default are preppers. We freeze, we put up food, we save seeds. Okay, all those things that homesteaders do are prepping activities. So let's talk about what a common sense prepper really is. Okay, a common sense prepper is more than just hoarding up guns and food and all those kinds of things. Okay, the very first thing, since the hurricane came through and tore up North Carolina, it tore up Georgia, you know, it came through. You can really see if I saw a picture of the lights on as a satellite view as you came over, and you can see the dark path where the hurricane had gone through Georgia. So came on to Florida and gone through Georgia. Those are the kinds of things that you prepare for, but those aren't the only kinds of things you prepare for. As a matter of fact, the average person is never going to see a hurricane in their life. Let me say that again. The average person is never going to see a hurricane. The average person is never going to see a volcanic explosion. Okay? The average person is never going to see the collapse of society. That's fear porn. Okay? That's what they put on as fear porn. Something so that they can get clicks and views. Fear porn. The average prepper will see a downturn in work and maybe get laid off. The average prepper will find that they have financial responsibilities that they need to be able to cover while they're sick. Okay, the average prepper might get sick. You need emergency preparedness. There's a whole bunch of things that the average prepper should be prepared for that covers a multitude of this other stuff. The other stuff is just fear porn. You don't have to pay attention to that. Common sense leads the way. So let's start about the different things that a common sense prepper needs to prepare for. Okay, the basics a prepper needs to start with is emergency preparedness. You need an emergency first aid kit. Okay, you need to be able to splint a leg. You need to be able to put on a tourniquet. You need to be able to splint a hand or a finger or those kinds of things. An emergency preparedness kit is super important. Even just on a homestead, you need to have that thing available. You need to be prepared for when you have an illness in the family. You need to be prepared. You need to always have on hand that stuff to handle minor illnesses. Okay? You need to always have that on hand because you might be the one sick and you can't go out and get nothing because you're just too damn sick. So you need to have that stuff on hand. Emergency preparedness. You need to take a first aid class. Everybody should take a basic CPR and first aid class. Healthcare workers take a class called BLS, Basic Life Support. But what you need is Red Cross Community First Aid, okay, and CPR. Red Cross Community First Aid and CPR. Those courses are taught all over the country. You should look up and find one. It's one of the best things you can do to invest in safety for you, your family. It could save one of your family members' life, okay? It would be good if everybody in the family was able to take it. Big old skeeter. Okay. It would be good if everybody in the family was able to take it. Okay? Does that make sense? And you need to have a family communication plan. The cell phones may not work all the time. Around here where I'm at, we can get one cell tower, okay? And it's a long way off, and we get 1 or 2 bars if you stand right in the right place in my house. Okay, if you're upstairs in one of the bedrooms, you're okay. But if you're downstairs, you have to be in the living room in order to get cell signal or out on the front porch. Okay, you just can't get cell signal. But what happens if that tower goes out? There's no cell communications. Thus, we keep a landline. Okay? Now, we have those little phones that are wireless. But we also have a plug-in analog phone. Okay? A plug-in, I call it analog, but it does pulse dial. So, a plug-in phone, a non-wireless phone, because the phone company's power will be up for a long time after a major power outage. So you can still use the phone to call. Okay? So you need to develop a communication plan. You need to develop a plan for checking on your neighbors. Your neighbors might be in dire straits if the power's out. Okay? You never know what their health problems are, or, okay? Check on your neighbors. The next part about being competent at prepping is financial responsibility. I know. You haven't got $400 that you could spend if an emergency came up. I know. It's time to remedy that. It's time to remedy it. A conscientious person, period, will try and put back some extra money, even if it's just the change out of your pockets each day. Okay? Put that up. Have some cash on hand. There'll be times that the ATMs don't work. So many people today only have that card in their pocket, that debit card, and it is not going to work all the time. Okay? So have some cash on hand. You don't have to have a lot of cash, but you do need to have some cash on hand. Also, if you lose your job, you need to have 3 months worth of all your bills in cash. Okay? 3 months worth of all your bills in savings. That way, if something happens, you can continue your life and pay your bills so that they don't cut your power off and stuff while you're looking for another job. Okay? You need to have that. That's a financial security. You need to invest in a little financial literacy. It's one of the best things a prepper can do for themselves. Now, then there's having some money put back for emergencies. There are emergencies that happen all the time. It's 12 o'clock at night, and you've got a kidney stone, and you've got to go to the ER. Okay? 12 o'clock at night, you got a kidney stone, you got to go to the ER. Well, with my health insurance, I have to pay up front about it before they'll see me. Okay? So you got to have some money put back for that. Crystal and I have money put back just for health emergencies. All right? We do it every year. We put back a certain amount every month for health emergencies. And I know it's hard. It's hard for some people to come up with that. You just start squirreling away nickel dimes, every penny you can. Okay? Every penny you can. I know how hard it is. I know some of y'all live right on the edge and you just barely making your bills. I understand, babies. Try. Now, I say all the time on this channel that knowledge is power. Okay? And that goes that way for preppers too. Knowledge is power. And I'm not talking about the knowledge that your cousin's uncle's brother's sister's cousin told her about the government. Okay? Okay? That's not knowledge. That's something totally different. So I'm talking about true, honest to God knowledge. You need to learn about health and nutrition. You need to learn about what a balanced diet is. You need to plan to have a balanced diet in those times that life deals you a bad card. Because I'm going to tell you, life deals us bad cards every now and then. And we lose. We lose. Life deals us bad cards every now and then, and we lose. So you got to plan for that, and you need to plan for that nutritionally wise too. You don't want to feed your kids macaroni and cheese every day for a month, ramen noodles every day for a month. Their health will suffer. Okay? Children their little brains are fat burning machines, glucose accepting machines, and they need that nutrition to develop the parts of their body so that they're not sickly when they get older. So you need to look at what is a balanced nutrition. What can I do to make nutrition balanced? Are vitamins and supplements what I need? Most of the time, vitamins and supplements just give you expensive pee. Okay, you pee them out. But sometimes, if you've got a problem with iron, or you've got a problem with magnesium, or you've got a problem with some medical thing, you might need to plan to have extra of that on hand in case of something happens. Anything can happen, okay? Not just some super thing. Anything can happen. Loss of a job, loss of income, okay? So you need to plan for that. You also need to understand the food labels. You need to understand the recommended daily allowances and all of that stuff. You need to understand that the average human needs 2,000 calories a day, okay? And you need to know how to decide how much your food, how many calories you have in your pantry. Crystal and I raise a great big garden, but we only raise about 500,000 calories of what we need to survive. 500,000 calories. 2 adults. 1 adult needs 720,000 calories a year. Okay? 720,000 calories a year. You gotta be prepared for that. And that's just if you're not really active. It needs that. So you got to learn about nutrition. You also need to learn about home safety. Okay, one of the other things that we have to plan for is as we get older, things have to be done. We need to plan for child safety in our house. We need to plan for elder safety. Okay, when Crystal and I created the bathroom, we made it wheelchair accessible. And we made a shower so that you didn't have to step up to get into it, okay? It's just a step-in shower. And we've got a shower chair in there, okay? So those kinds of things. Also, we've got smoke detectors. When we moved here 10 years ago, the smoke detectors that are in our house were there now. In November, when it's time to change batteries, I will change out those smoke detectors. They work on degradation of a nuclear device, okay? So that's how they determine if there's smoke. If the nuclear device is no longer emitting little neutrons, then it's or little particles of radiation, then there must be smoke in between it, or it's no longer sending it out. So your smoke detectors work on that. So after about 10 years, the nuclear material inside of them is degraded, and you have to change them out. Okay, so this year we'll be changing out our smoke detectors. So just little things like that all have to be part of common sense preparing for the things to come. I'm prepared if we have a home fire. I have a new fire extinguisher. Okay, our fire extinguisher was getting about 7 years old, and so it was time to buy a new fire extinguisher. So we put in a new fire extinguisher. It's just those little things, those little bitty things that are important, that have to happen for you to do the things that you need to do to prepare. Once we get into prepping, we have to understand that there are a lot of issues that can come up, especially personal issues. You need to be up to date on your vaccines. I know that some people are afraid of vaccines and they listen to all the hype and all that stuff. We have a little cemetery where my family's been buried since the 1700s. Prior to the 1950s, there were all kinds of little bitty graves. Okay? It wasn't that life expectancy was so low back then. A person, if they made it to 40, they were probably going to be pretty old. Okay? But most of the time, what happened was, if you had 5 kids, 3 of them died. That was a common occurrence. All right? As many as 50% in Appalachia, children didn't make it into adulthood. So there are all kinds of little bitty graves. They died of all kinds of things. They died of scarlet fever, strep throat. They died of whooping cough. They died of tuberculosis. They died of polio. They died of cholera. There was all kinds of things that kids died from back in the day. Get your vaccines. When the vaccines came out, those little bitty graves, you don't see any in my graveyard hardly. But before the vaccines came out and before the invention of antibiotics, there's little kid graves all over the place. Some of them with just a couple of rocks to mark where they were at. It's kind of sad. All the children that died during that time. So yeah, get up to date on your vaccines. It could be really important if something big happens, okay? Because something big could happen at any time. And the people who are anti-vaccine, they'll be carriers, all right? Be up to date on your vaccines. Also take care of, stock up on some of your medicines. Me, I'm a diabetic, so I try and keep a 3-month supply of my medicines. I get it in 3 or 6 months supplies. So I try and keep a stock so that in case something happens and it's 2 or 3 months in length, then I can still have my medicine available. Okay? Those kinds of things are important. Then there's digital safety. Digital safety is going to be very important to you in this digital age. You are not going to be able to be digitally safe completely. Everybody, if you've searched on something online, everybody knows it. Okay, Google recorded everything that you've ever searched for, so it's there, and it comes up in your Facebook feed. We have social media. That's why I'm on this channel. I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook. Yeah, every time I search for something, an advertisement for that comes up in my Facebook feed like clockwork. Okay, so plan for having a little digital security. Everybody's finances are so tied to online sources now. It's just unbelievable how many online sources there can be for people to grab your money. So plan for digital security. That should be on a prepper's list. That should be a high priority on a prepper's list. One of the next things every prepper should prepare for. Everybody in your house should know how to add oil to a car. They should know how to add transmission fluid. Go away. They should know how to check it and add it. They should know how to check power steering fluid and add it. Okay? Those things need to be gone over with everybody in the family. That way, if something goes on and the person who's doing that, who normally does it, is incapacitated, anybody in the family can take care of that. Regular automotive maintenance, okay, is something that everybody in the family should be aware of and how to do it. The next thing is seat belts, helmets. If things went to pieces, you're not going to be able to access, you might not be able to access health care. So you need to be aware of the things that you need. personal protective gear like safety glasses, gloves, those kinds of things that might save you from getting injured, okay? Just a little scratch. In a major event, just a little scratch can turn septic and just down in the, I was watching about all of that flooding could have stirred up human feces, could have pulled up septic tanks, could have busted septic systems, sewer systems. So the water could have cholera, it could have all kinds of things in the water. So you need to be prepared for a way to sterilize water. You need to be prepared for be able to transport water if the power's out. If you don't have gas, how are you going to transport water efficiently? It may be, for me right now, the river. I don't have a source of water on my property. I don't have a well. I don't have, there's an old well, but I think it's collapsed. I don't have a source of water here on the property. So the closest source of water is the river down here, and it's about, half a mile away. What am I going to do if I've got to get water out of the river and bring it up here? You have to think about those kinds of things. If the road's washed out, you can't go down there and get water with your car, okay, or your truck or your tractor. You have to figure out a way to get that water from the river back up here, because even water from the river's better than no water at all. So you have to plan for those kinds of things, and that brings on basic environmental awareness. Where the rivers are, sometimes there's beavers and there's giardia, and you need to be able to sterilize your water so that you're able to drink it. Okay, that might mean that you need to boil it for a certain amount of time, or it might mean that you have to have a certain filter. Okay, so you have to be prepared for that. You have to understand that if something happens and you can't use your septic system anymore, you need to dig your toilet downstream, not upstream. Okay? Just little common sense things that you need to learn to be a prepper. Prepping, like I said, it's not all about guns and ammunition and fire starters, and it's not all about that. That's not what it's about. It's about just being prepared for the everyday occurrences. The average person's not going to be in a hurricane, but the average person is going to experience a thunderstorm. The average person is going to experience a power outage. The average person is going to experience a job loss. The average person is going to experience an illness of the breadwinner. Okay? Everybody's going to experience that. I don't care who you are. You're going to experience that. Those are the things that you should prep for first. Then if you're prepped for those, you're ready for the other stuff. Some of the best things that you can do as a prepper is to understand that we're a community and we need each other. Okay? So you need to develop communication skills that allow you to work with other people. Me, I'm an introvert. I have a terrible time just going up to somebody and starting up a conversation. But I've had to practice those skills over and over and over. One of the biggest skills that you'll need in a stressful situation is conflict resolution. You need to look up about it. That's one of the things that will help you get ready to deal with the other people and the intricacies that come from dealing with folks that have come from different backgrounds as you, or different family philosophies. Okay? You have to deal with those folks in order to form a community of people who can help when things go bad. So you need to learn conflict resolutions, and you need to learn how to read people's body language. Okay? You need to learn how to read people's body language. There will come a time when you have to tell people to get away from you. Okay? Some people are dangerous. You just have to get them away from you. Some people are dangerous even in non-dangerous situations. They're bullies or whatever, and you need to get them away from you. And you need to learn how to do that. Read their body language. You can tell when they're a threat. You can tell when people are a threat. Learn to read body language. That's what you need to do. Finally, a prepper needs to develop basic DIY skills. In other words, you need to learn how to use a hammer, use a drill, use a circular saw, use a jigsaw. You need to learn how to use those things, how to build stuff, how to build simple shelters, simple structures. You know, a chicken coop or you need to learn how to do that. It doesn't have to be pretty, but it has to be functional. You need to learn how to do those kinds of skills. You need to learn basic gardening skills. You can do that if you live in town. You know, you've got a house and you live in a suburb, you can build you a little victory garden in the backyard. You can grow some tomatoes and carrots and peas, and okay, you can do that. You need to learn those kinds of skills. That's a basic prepping skill. You need to learn how to store food. Storage of food is a huge prepper skill. I'm just going to tell you right off, there are lots of companies out there that want to sell you food that's 25 years. It's this dehydrated food that you can store for 25 years. It's shit you wouldn't eat. Okay, you won't eat it. Trust me, you won't eat it. It's nasty. I've tried my share of it, and most of it is just too nasty to fool with. I have never been one for buying that stuff, but I've tried plenty of it. My dog friends are back. One of those prepping skills is just cooking with natural foods, with raw foods, with raw tomatoes, with raw cucumbers, with raw lettuces, and you need to learn how to cook that kind of stuff, how to prepare it so it's the most nutritious and tasteful. Because I'm just telling you, if you've got food stored up that you won't eat, it's useless. It's useless. Most people in a large problem that comes about, they'll get to where they don't want to eat. They'll get depressed and they won't want to eat, and unless they have tasteful food, they won't want to touch it. And that's bad. Okay, so you have to be prepared for that kind of stuff. You need to learn how to cook wild game. Okay? Wild game may be all you have. But let me tell you, in the event of a major catastrophe, the wild game will disappear really quick. Okay, we have too many humans on the planet. The deer population of Kentucky is less than the population of humans in Kentucky. Alright? And a deer will only feed 4 or 5 humans for a week. Alright? So the deer population would be gone in short order. So if hunting is your prepping plan, you're dead in a major catastrophe. In a major catastrophe, hunting will not work as a prepping plan. Prep something else. But start out prepping with common things. Start off with saving up food, canned food. The metal cans of food, the sell-by date on them is a best-by date. Okay? Those will keep for 20 years, 10 years. Alright? As long as the can isn't swelled, that food's probably just fine. So store up some canned foods. Store up some rice and beans and those kinds of things. Finally, the basic prepper needs to have some other skills. Okay? You need to have the stuff on hand to fix a water leak. Okay? You need to have the stuff on hand to sew on a button. Okay? You need to have the stuff on hand to repair simple repairs. Duct tape is a great thing to have on hand. Okay? Duct tape is unbelievable what it'll do for a tarp or Gorilla Tape. Okay? Those are good things to have on hand. Some shark bite connectors for your plumbing to have on hand. Some short pieces of pipe or some medium-sized pieces of pipe so that you can fix plumbing if it tears up. Okay? Those are the types of things that preppers should have in order to be ready. Prepping is a common sense activity. You need to be prepared in case of an emergency. You need to have bandages and band-aids and something you can splint a leg with. You need to have that stuff on hand. You need to take a basic first aid class. Everybody, I think, should have a basic first aid class. You need to learn basic skills to repair stuff in your home. There may be times that you need to repair something and there's the power's off, or all these other things. You need to have the tools on hand to make those simple repairs. It wouldn't hurt to have a solar system, to have an emergency backup heat system, to have an emergency backup electric system. Okay, does that make sense? There are some commonsensical things that you can do that apply to every emergency situation. You know, you don't have to have a bug out bag. Okay, you don't have to have a bug out bag. 9 times out of 10, the average person's never gonna bug out. I'm too old and fat to bug out. I'm too old and fat to put a 60-pound pack on my back and trek across the damn country. Come on, common sense. I can't do that stuff. So, you need to have the things that common sense preppers would have. You need to have enough food put up. Crystal and I have freezers, and we're building a solar generator. I have a generator, so if the power goes off, I can run my generator on propane. Propane never goes bad. I can run my generator on propane a couple of hours a day and keep my freezers frozen, keep my refrigerator cold. Okay, so those are the kinds of things that you need to have. I've got 10 solar panels. I just haven't had time to do it yet because there's so many other irons in the fire. You need to prep for old age. You're going to get old. I don't care who you are. You're going to get old. So you need to plan for that getting old. Plan for your bathroom to have hand grips. Have places where you can step into the bathroom without falling down into the shower. You need to plan to have food. Crystal and I, like I said, we have 4 freezers. We store our garden. We have 1 acre to 2 acres of garden, depending on the year. I put in between 1 acre and 2 acres of garden, and we grow all of our vegetables except for Brussels sprouts. I've never had luck with those. But we grow all of our vegetables, and we've got them in the freezers, or we've got them in jars, in cans, or we've dehydrated them. I love dehydrated beans called shuck beans. I love them. So we've got plenty of dehydrated beans. So we have enough food at any one time to last about 1.5 years. Now in the spring of the year, we're down to about 1/2 year's worth of food. Then after the garden comes in, we're back up to 1.5 years worth of food. Does that make sense? So that's where we're at. You need to practice these common sense prepping things. It doesn't have to be all this emergency food and all this dehydrated food and flour, 25-pound bags of flour, and don't have to be all that. But it does have to be commonsensical. Start off with 2 weeks worth. Have 2 weeks worth of food. Your electricity can go off for 2 weeks with no problem. All right, there have been lots and lots of people that their electricity was off for 2 weeks. You're better off if you've got 6 months worth. Okay, but start off with 2 weeks, then work up to a month, then work up to 2 months, okay, then 4, then 6 months, and until you get up to 1 year. That way, if you get laid off, if you get sick, you've got enough food in the house that you could survive on, and make it food that you'll eat, okay? Make it food that you'll eat. Food that you won't eat is useless. And cycle it. Like, if I've got a big jar of peanut butter, I know how long it's good for. Okay? I buy my peanut butter so that I can cycle it in and out because we eat it. Okay? So, yeah. Do that with your canned goods. Eat the oldest first. And you'll always have canned goods. It's just a common sense thing of prepping that Appalachian people have done all their life. Okay? It was just an Appalachian way of life. We've done it all of our life. It wouldn't hurt you to learn how to smoke a pig. How to salt a pig. Wouldn't hurt you to learn how to do that. Doesn't mean you're ever going to have to do it. But it wouldn't hurt you to learn how to do it. That's just one of those things. You could learn how to do this stuff. So, now, if you like this stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homesteading stuff every week, times 1, times 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now, if you hit the little bell, it'll be right up here. It'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the occasional shorts on Friday and Saturday. So now, time for me to get on to the next thing. Love y'all.